Is it too busy?
Welcome to our panel celebrating the legendary 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. We're going to start with some introductions first. We have producer of not only the first movie, but the whole trilogy, Kim Dawson.
Everybody.
Next to him, we have writer of the original 1990s Turtles movie, Bobby Herbeck.
Thank you.
And next to him, we have, over from NECA, he's in charge of product development, and that is Blaine Rodenbaugh.
Oh.
Let's jump in. I'm gonna start with you, Kim. You have a fascinating story. I wanna know how you got involved in all this. What made you think, I wanna turn this Turtles movie into, or this Turtles comic into a movie?
Well, first of all, let me thank you all for being here today. It's a real pleasure. And we're 33 years on from having made this movie, and this hometown of the Turtles, New York City, where it was set, and still lives and vibrates. I mean, it was right around the corner that the first turtle toys ever emerged out of the sewers, literally. And I just want to thank you guys for continuing to be great fans and for supporting this brand and all the good that it's done over the years. And I just want to say cowabunga, dudes and dudettes. Right. I first heard about the Turtles in September of 1987 when my partner, Gary Proper, who was a manager of a comedian by the name of Gallagher, decided that he was going to go to a comic book store in Detroit, Michigan, and a place called Midnight Comics. And he found the first issue. It was actually the second printing, about a year after it first hit the comic book stores in the East. It had migrated to Detroit. And Gary picked up all the copies of that first issue and sent them to me overnight. He called me the day that he found him and said, "Dude, we're going to make this movie about turtles, and it's got and comics and the costumes, and it'll be great." And I'm going, "Dude, you've been smoking way too much lately." I don't know, but it's when I saw the comics, I finally got it. And I was there with his wife, Gary's wife, Ruth Ann, and a guy named Gabe Sachs, who's went on and created a show called Freaks and Geeks. Some of you may know that. Gabe Sachs was our PA at the time, and he had the same reaction when he first heard about it. But when he saw it, he said, "Okay, let's work." It wasn't long after that I got the comics, and I got a copy of the very first toy PR kit from at that time, Playmate. And armed with that, I met Bobby. And Bobby and I were old friends for, I don't know.
Don't say old.
Yeah.
We're friends.
Old being the operative word here. But at that, I called Bobby and said, "I've got this property." I had called Mirage, and they turned me on to Mark Friedman over at Surge Licensing. As most of you know, when they first started, Turtles had no licensing deal. That the very first toy they ever made was a little lead toy soldier kind of thing. But after that, when Mark Friedman got involved, he built that brand into, I don't know how many 1,000 licenses they had when we released the picture. But Mark at Surge had beaten Gary and I by about 3 weeks, I think, to meeting Mark and Peter or Kevin and Peter, pardon me. And with that, he signed them to an exclusive licensing deal that built Surge into a big brand name, and obviously the Turtles into something very special. But with that, armed with that toy kit and all, I went to Bobby, who was writing his movie at the time, a comedy. And I knew Bobby as a stand-up and as a comedian who always performed. I didn't know him as a writer, although I knew he wrote a lot because he'd written for comedians and
Different Strokes, Jefferson's, Facts of Life, Silver Spoons. There's 2 people here that remember those shows. The rest of you weren't born. I'll tell you that it was a great training ground for me because I didn't get in the business, or I got in the business to act and to do stand-up. And this man comes to me. Golden Harvest was the key. He knew more about it, Golden Harvest, than I did. And because they made the Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan films.
Right, but Bobby was writing a script for Golden Harvest at the time with this guy, Tom Gray, who ran the U.S. operation. But Golden Harvest was really Raymond Chow. Raymond Chow had built Bruce Lee's career and then later built Jackie Chan's career around the kung fu movie style type films. And when they first heard about it, Bobby and I had pitched this to everybody in Hollywood.
Went and pitched it for 3 months, maybe a couple of months, and got laughed out of a couple of pitch meetings. Two people I won't mention their name, Ronnie Howard and Brian Grazer. And they called my agent and said, who's the stoner that came in here with the turtle thing? And I said, I don't know about the pot, but the turtles are real. They're on TV. And the other key to that is, which we both know, is back then, how many of you were little kids then? Raise your hand. Okay. So you may recall there were none of these, no iPads, no Xbox, none of that stuff. So you watch TV. There was Pong, and then I think Nintendo was just on the
Game Boy
horizon.
came
so
not far
you watch TV, thank God, because we built an audience.
Right.
Our boss was concerned a week before it opened. He came here to New York because this was going to open first. And Tom Gray says, Herbs, I'm so worried we have another Howard the Duck. Right. I'm sorry, I thought Howard the Duck was pretty campy.
I
right?
loved Howard the Duck.
But I told him Howard the Duck doesn't have a built-in audience. It just fell out of the sky like a comet or something. And
well, the same thing with Garbage Pail Kids, because it was a movie that got made from a comic at the same time,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons. Between those two films, they had pretty much soured the Hollywood community on comics to live action pictures, except for Superman and Batman. Other than that, we were not going to make it. I see you guys are looking at these costumes from Brian Henson.
Yeah.
Let me give you a little bit of background on Brian and Jim Henson. Jim, When I was in Orlando, Florida, producing the Mickey Mouse Club in the late 80s, I had the turtle rights in my pocket, but we hadn't made the deal yet with Golden Harvest. I'd left LA and moved to Orlando with my family. And in the bungalow I shared, because it was right before the MGM Studios was going to open, they had a Star Wars ride, and George Lucas was in one corner. They had a Muppets ride. Jim Henson was in the other corner. And humble old me was in the other corner with the Mickey Mouse Club. We had this amazing time. It was about a year and a half where all this special stuff happened. And I got to know Jim, not really because of Turtles, but because of the Muppets. And he was reluctant at first to do the costumes. It took his son, Brian, and Steve Barron, who had been hired by Tom Gray, to decide that this would be the team that made the costumes. And I give all the credit to them for taking the words that Bobby wrote and Todd wrote into making these images that were spectacular. I know Bobby has a lot of respect for Brian, but what they did, or for Jim and for Brian, but Steve Barron was the one who glued them all together. And I think it was between he and Brian, because they had this rapport that they developed when they worked on Dark Crystal together as youngsters. I think they were 19 and 20 years old when they first worked together. And I think Brian was like 26 when he was running the Creature Shop in London. You got to go there, Bobby.
I did. Yeah, I was in. I went to London to write the script because that's where Steve Barron was from. And Mr. Henson, I go over there. This was so cool to watch this go from sketches to little clay models to then to this point. But Mr. Henson had come in. He had a little place for me to work. And he'd come in and he'd always say, so what do you think? And I go, it's good. Everything looks really good. It's fine. I was too intimidated. What do I know? And then we came in one day and I'm sitting at the desk and he sits this way and he says, Bobby, and he pats my hand, give us some input. And I said, he said, come on. I said, maybe put some like liver spots on their head. And he did it. They're on their head. See the spots on their head?
Yeah.
That's my touch. So I own the spots. Damn, I never negotiated that. I never got the rights to those spots. But it's not the measles. It's just liver spots on turtles. Because How many people have had a turtle? Okay, well, that's enough. They have spots, some of them. So,
Did
you know what I love? I'm sorry, sidebar. You know what I love? I'm here in New York, and when this movie came out, my friends here in New York took pictures in the subway of our poster, which was like a thrill for me. It was just plastered all over New York. But I was telling some people the other day about you. Some of you may remember they had to weld the manhole covers closed in New York because the kids were prying them open and going down the sewers here looking for the turtles. This is true.
It's true. Well, it was here at Javits Center in 1988, in February of 1988, that that Playmates did that promo where the turtles came out of the sewer the first time, and that
Really?
legacy
It was here?
Yeah, it was here.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
right. It was actually on 34th, I think, but not 35th.
Close
but,
enough.
But that's a good segue to Blaine, because what the Turtle toys, or what the Turtle films have done, is they built this toy enterprise that most of you have engaged in one form or fashion. How many of you guys have Turtle collectibles?
Whoa.
All right, that's a good segue to Blaine. Blaine, as you know, works as a designer for NECA, but he's been a Turtle fan forever. So we all share that.
I want to say one to set him up. A lot of you might know this, but I have had a project at Fox. Right after Ninja Turtles happened, everybody wanted to meet us and what do you got next? And so I made a deal on a project at Fox. And then when they do that, they have a lunch, and the marketing people are there, and the legal, and everybody's there. But at some point, someone stands up in that lunch and says, it was like God. You will not get the licensing. We will give you a little piece of it. Because when Lucas made Star Wars there, just like Ninja Turtles, when it came out, they said, what a piece of crap. No one's going to go see this movie. That was the critics. What do they know? There'll only be one, they said. What are we coming up on, 7 and 8 and 9 or something? Yeah. So anyway, if you don't know this, Lucas, they gave him all the licensing. Because they thought the movie, no one's going to go see the movie. They'll never do that again. He's not a billionaire because of box office. He's a billionaire because of the licensing. So I hand it to you, licensing person.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, thanks, Blaine.
Yeah,
what do you want to
Finish.
Yeah, Blaine.
Where the money is.
So, the NECA Turtles, you guys first started just con exclusives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not that long ago, you guys have gone full on retail. How has that been, that whole experience? How has it changed the business and stuff, even designing and stuff?
Well, as Bobby and Kim said, licensing, especially back then in the 80s and 90s, likeness rights were never a thing, and merchandising, of course, was minimal because of Lucas. So it was really a pipe dream, and the way that we were able to get those movie Turtles out was only through San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Couldn't sell them retail, and we didn't have likeness rights, so the only characters we could do were the four brothers, and it was a pipe dream. It was, something that we wanted as fans in the studio, and we got the 4 out along with the street scene dio, and we're like, okay, done. It's amazing. We'll never do that again. We can never have 7-inch scale movie Turtles, and it just blew up from there. And then we were able to get exclusive deals. So, okay, you can license them as long as it's a store exclusive, and we did that again with the 4 brothers, and that blew up even more. So then we tried to figure ways around the licensing, and we got Casey Jones out, obviously just with his mask, and the talent started noticing it, and they started kind of asking about it, and then we got Judith Hogue, and we got her likeness, and she was all on board. She actually wanted to be a part of the process. How many of you watched April's April Takeover? Yeah. So that was something important to her, where she wanted to follow the process of how her action figure, oh, good old Randy. That's the original box art, obviously styled after the VHS. There you go. And now we're on to Secret of the Ooze, and that anniversary set, again, has the exact VHS art from 1992. So, getting her involved was really big, and then we were able to go back once she kind of, whispered in someone's ear, and we got Elias his likeness, so we could go back and do an Ultimate Casey with with his likeness and an expression. So, you know, having the stars of the movie and having the writers and producers into seeing these hyper-realized, because I was a huge fan of Varner Studios and Playmates. Howard Chang, who did the concept art for all of those original Playmate Ninja Turtles that you have. I loved those figures, but they were never movie accurate. They were never cartoon accurate, right? And that was the 80s and the 90s. It's what we got. So to have the chance to go back and do hyper-realistic 7-inch scale collector figures that really looked like we took these costumes and these characters and scaled them down. And I think honestly, it's because of the fans, and it's also because of the actors who got super into it that we were able to blow it up. And as I said, now we're on to Secret of the Ooze figures, so not stopping.
But you do other stuff.
We do, yeah. I mean, we kind of base
You
our
do the
company.
Turtles, and who else do you guys do?
We do Turtles, so we have all nostalgia. We kind of stick to nostalgia. We do the movie Turtles. We do the original 80s cartoon Turtles. We just got into Archie, Mirage, and IDW Turtles. We also do like the 90s Gargoyles on Disney Plus. Yeah, all right, okay. That's awesome. That's a fan favorite. And then we stick to horror, so if there are any horror fans in the room. We have in the past. We don't have Godzilla now, but
How many SKUs do you have?
oh, that's right. Okay, it was revealed at San Diego. I was like, how does she know that?
They're smart.
So now we're getting into sitcom. We have dinosaurs. We have Alf. Yes, Alf's huge. We have another favorite, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. So yes. So yeah, lots of nostalgia. Anytime that you as collectors think that you didn't get an action figure when you were a kid, I feel like we're the ones that make the action figure. Because we didn't get them as kids. And now we have expendable income and that'll let
Okay, cool. So, Elvira, by the way, I'm from the pledge class at the Comedy Store back in 1970. And
you say 19.
she was a stand-up comedian, and then she found this niche, this Elvira thing. And we're all, does anybody remember her in Elvira on TV? And we're going, we don't remember that body. Because she sold a cleavage. And we went, man,
Absolutely.
we don't remember that. But she's here, by the way, right?
Yeah, she is.
That is so cool. We have to see her.
She's worked on Ninja Turtles?
Was
Now,
she really?
This is news to me. So,
Well, see, we
Cassandra
don't know.
Peterson.
We're out of touch. We don't know this.
all right. So, listen, I think that you guys are a great crowd. We thought maybe we'd open it up to some Q&A earlier than normal.
What? Can I have 5 minutes? Just on the writing side of things?
Oh, yeah.
I just want to give you a little bit about the writing. It was like, it wasn't a flash in the pan, but he brings me the project. We met at an In-N-Out Burger on the grassy knoll in Westminster. I lived in Long Beach. He lived in Newport. This was the middle ground. And I still say there should be a plaque there because I got it right away. He came to me because he had the foresight of, you're the company to do this, the company I'm writing this movie for. And then I kept going to Tom Gray, who I was writing the other movie for, and I bring up the Turtles, and he'd go, Herbs, don't bother me with the Pinjin Ninja Turtles. I'm tired of hearing about it. Finish the script I'm paying you for. And then one night we were having a drink after work, and he said something about his kids, and he had a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I went, bingo. I said, when you get home, you ask your kids about the Turtles, because your parents, those of you who were kids, they didn't know about the Turtles. It was like keeping you busy. You were watching it while they were doing their thing. So it was like, for me, it was a kid's secret, basically, until the pajamas and stuff. And the kids, I want up pajamas for the birthday. And then the birthday parties and the Halloween. But prior to that, we're at the very beginning. So I said something about the kids. And when I got back to Long Beach that night on my recorder call, for you, those of you, it was an answer machine. It was a little like a lunchbox. And he left him and said, Herbs, what's a nickname for me? Babes. That means you've closed the deal. Get your buddy and meet me tomorrow. And we went up and we pitch him, and he's kind of into it. There's an article that he gave me. It's called Saved by a Butt Cheek. Yeah. And he's sliding out of the booth. He said, nah. And he's got one cheek out. And Kim says, now, wait a minute. Now, there is the ancillary market. You people. And he says, yes. And now we scoots back in. and he closed a deal with the licensing. You understand the licensing that's going to be with this?
Right.
And that got us moving. Now, my assignment was to go to Northampton and get a story approved by Peter and Kevin. I was going to be there a week. I was there much longer than a week. I'd write a treatment. I'd meet them for breakfast. And I could tell by their body language, one of them didn't like the treatment. The other one did. And this went on. I said, how did you guys ever finish a comic book? Because they never agreed. Finally, they signed off on it. Then I came back, and then I went to England to write the movie. And I was stopped. Was that the first stop?
Yeah,
So I'm in about 2 weeks, and Tom called and says, Herbs, take a break. Go to France. Go do something for 10 days. We got a problem. And you know what the problem was.
Yeah, the problem was that 20th Century Fox, who Tom Gray used to work for, and this is Hollywood persona, or this is, kind of like the real deal, was being run by a guy named Leonard Goldberg. He had approved the Turtles movie at an $8.5 million budget, and which Raymond was going to finance, and they were going to do the distribution. And then a guy named Barry Diller took over 20th Century Fox as the president. Barry Diller went on and had a great career running Hotels.com and started the wave of entertainment.com, if you will. But he also shit-canned the Turtles. He cut that
Which
slate
happens
off.
when a new regime comes in a studio.
They wiped
That's a
the
death
slate
knell.
clean, so to
Yeah.
speak. And we were left, this is 2 months before the start of production, with no distribution deal, at which point Raymond Chow would pull out. And Tom and I looked at one another and said, well, let's go back to who we talked to. Everybody had turned us down at that point, including New Line. But Bob Shea also had kids, and his babysitter knew all about the toys. So when he got the pitch again, by this time he understood that the toys were going to move the needle and drive people back to the box office.
Yeah.
And I think that is what, and by the way, that original TV series you're talking about, the Murakami and Wolf 5-episode TVs, I think is still the best animation that's ever been done.
And it was only 5 episodes.
That's
right?
it. And that's
Wow.
what drove the toys for 6 months. They kept repeating those episodes again and again between Toy Fair and June of '88 when they released those toys. They went off the shelf, when they went off the chain rather.
Wow.
So it was by June when the pre-orders were all sold out.
This,
So-
do you know, are some of you familiar with the movies that made us on Netflix? This is the same kind of a story, because if you've seen it, for how Forrest Gump barely made it to the screen, I think it was Flashdance and some other ones, very successful. Our picture was constantly hitting a bump, a roadblock.
Right.
Because I'm there, I go to do, I don't know what's going on. You do, and it's because they needed another, was it 4 million? What
No, we needed
New Line?
distribution. It was
Oh,
not
distribution.
It
Okay, I
wasn't the
thought it was money.
Raymond was going to pay the bill, but he needed distribution.
Ah.
Wouldn't do it. They had done Smokey and the Bandit right before that, and they'd done all right with it. But they realized in order to get a movie in the U.S. to be successful, you had to have theatrical, and it had to be with somebody who was capable of releasing a picture. And all that New Line had done at that point that was Boffo was Freddie. But those movies were big enough. They knew the teenage audience, and they somehow figured out with Ralston Purina and Burger King all advertising that we could get that kid audience early in the afternoon, the 4 and 7 o'clock showings, and the cult comic book fans would come later. They'd come at the 10 and 11 or midnight showings. And that's what happened. That's that first weekend of $25 million at the box office in March of 90.
Yeah, so if I may, he knows, he's heard this 100 times. I'm going to lunch with Tom Gray, the boss, and we're in Beverly Hills. We're at Wilshire and Santa Monica. And Tom said, what do you think we're going to do this weekend, the opening? I said, well, I think we're going to do 20 million. He goes, pfft. That's when he said, Herbs, I think we have Howard the Duck. I said, you don't. The other smart move was they didn't open it at Christmas or summer. I think we were one of the first movies to open during spring break, which was very smart. And so I said, I think we do 20 million. Tom says, I'm going to tell you what, if this movie does $20 million the first weekend, Golden Harvest will buy you whatever you want. And just then this beautiful 2-seat convertible Mercedes pulled up, black. And I said, I want one of those. And he said, you got it. I was on my honeymoon, and our attorney, I think, was Tom your attorney then?
Yes.
Anyway, my attorney sends a note to Tom and says, by the way, it's about the Mercedes. You promised Bobby you open it over 20 million. You can just bring it here to the building and bring the keys up and I'll give it to him when he gets back. Never got that car to this day. And I want everybody to know I never got the card.
You did get one of those scripts and a jacket as well.
Well,
right?
he gave me the jacket.
Oh,
thank
well.
God. Hey, I'll tell you what's really, I got to tell you this. Well, I'll tell you what's cool. First of all, you are
20
cool.
minutes.
Okay, I know. I thank you for coming, and I'm overwhelmed. This is like our third show we've done in San Diego. The first time we did this in San Diego, I said, you are here for a comic, Ninja Turtle comic to screen, and some guy goes, "Cowabunga, dude, it rocks." Thank you, because without you, we're not here, and we appreciate all of you. You'll never know. 30 years later, I get all weepy about it. 30 years later, this is what, and people come up and tell us, dude, that movie changed my life. Or they say, my grandma took me to that movie, or my mom and my dad, and they have their favorites. Anyway, where do you want to go now? I'll stop. So much more to share. We'll do it again.
No, we do, but we'll do it during Q&A because it'll trigger
Maybe.
a lot of new
We'll
things,
see.
right?
Oh, by the way, best question, which we'll determine,
Thank you very much.
is going to get something from NECA.
Yeah.
It's not a trip for two to Sri Lanka, and a hotel room and a rickshaw, but we have something for you.
It's just
So-
a picture with me.
You want to handle it?
Yeah.
Hey, did we introduce Chris from the old Turtle Den? Chris
No,
Castaneda?
Yeah.
He's our man. He's wonderful.
Kim.
For questions, I think if you want to line up, there's a
Yeah.
mic.
Yeah. By the way, while they're lying, this is Chris's first time on an airplane coming from California. I love this. The guy's, how old are you?
35.
35. You got to give him a hand. He flew on a plane. Never been to New York. His head is spinning.
Look at this. This is
Blaine.
awesome.
Okay.
You see the giveaway?
We're doing a giveaway.
Surprise?
It's a surprise. We're not
Surprise?
Yeah, we'll tell
All right,
him at the
please.
end.
I have to listen to
Yeah.
Wow.
How's it going?
Hi, buddy. What's your name?
My name is Brendan.
Brendan.
Hey,
Okay,
Brendan.
I like that.
So when I was growing up, I watched Turtles 1, like every other kid, a bunch. The one scene where Raphael screams "damn" scared me so much when I was a kid. It was the first time I ever heard the word. I started crying. I was, kid. So was there anything in the movie that you guys were like, oh, maybe we should take this out or pull back on?
No.
More to our kids, but
I got to tell you, if I may, real quick. Kim's heard this too. I went to watch the movie. I bounced around theaters. I think Kim did, and in Westwood and stuff. And you kids, I get goosebumps. It was so powerful because they opened the movie. Remember setting up the crime story with April and the news, and then the kids. We go to her coming out of work, and the sigh hits the brick, and all of a sudden the kids go, oh, collective, oh, because you're dying to see what they've done, the Turtles. I mean, I got goosebumps now. And I think Steve Barrett was so brilliant the way he teased you, because what he did was with a strobe, because the cops, and Raffi lifts the manhole cover and he goes, damn, and then shuts it, and the audience is like, oh. And then they did credits, and
But
then
we
they
did
go
get
to them
we
in the
did get a
sewer.
lot of pushback for that and for the violence in the movie.
Just the way it-
the fighting got a lot of pushback
Yeah.
from the Parents' Council.
Yeah.
For me, it was when they're running down the street. He has the hat and the jacket on.
Yeah.
I was watching, my small DVD.
The flasher. I wrote that as a flasher scene, but they took it out. I'm
It
kidding.
is. So,
I'm just kidding.
so I had it on my little portable DVD player, and so thank you for ruining my life
You're
forever.
welcome, buddy.
Sure.
Thank you. Cowabunga, dude.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Hi,
That was-
how's it going? My name's Larry.
Okay.
So with the drastic tonal difference between the Saturday morning cartoon and the movie, did you get any studio notes about what you could or couldn't put in the movie because of the cartoon?
No, the movie was really a piece of made from whole cloth. It was it was like 5 or 6 of the first comics that sort of
It was really from the first graphic comic book.
for
Is what it
the
was.
first graphic novel.
Yeah. And then they let me run. I'm Raphael, by the way, when you watch the movie, just so you know. Because I'm a little Joe Pesci wise guy. Because I'm standing right now, in case you didn't notice. I'm actually standing. So, Real quick, someone asked a great question in San Diego. They asked me what I thought about what I was doing when I wrote it. Real quick, one thing was I watched Star Wars, the first 2 Star Wars movies. Let me go this way first. I've been complimented since I've been here. I didn't write down to the kids. I wrote to the middle so the parents got it, because we need the parents to go home and say, you got to take the kids. Like Top Gun. Everybody's telling everybody to go see Top Gun. So just found a happy medium. That was a really hard thing to actually do.
But we didn't have any restrictions, no.
But we had no restrictions, no.
Right.
But
It's funny that
think-
you say that. My parents used to like screen movies before taking
you guys
me.
watch them.
And in 1990, my dad came home from like a guy's night out and said to my mom, "We're taking them to see this."
That's cool. Good for Dad.
So it worked.
I love-
Congratulations.
That's very good. That's very cool.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you. Commander.
How you guys doing?
Good,
I'm
bud.
John. My question is, I understand there are deleted scenes from the first and second film, especially on the farm sequence. There's the whole missing Michelangelo sketch. What would it take, or what would it look like to get those scenes restored and maybe included in a future release, whether streaming or physical? Because I got money and it's yours, but
Yeah.
I want to see these scenes.
Is that the guy you know that did
Yeah,
that?
you know, there's an interesting story about that scene in particular, Michelangelo. Those scenes were shot. Where the original film resides is a question. Some of you guys may know the story about Sally and Steve getting fired. You guys know that story? So
The director.
Yeah, this is in November before the movie's to be released. And before it's cut, it's in a rough cut stage. And Steve and Sally Menke, who's the editor, who's an editor extraordinaire, she went on and worked for Tarantino for years. She just passed away. They had an unofficial screening with a Disney executive by the name of Katzenberg, who had turned the movie down from me. I was working at Disney at the time. He'd rejected my pitch to him 2 or 3 times, and had also rejected it from another source at least once. And then when he saw the picture in rough cut stage, he loved it. It was being edited on near a Disney property. So as a result of that, that was an unauthorized screen. He called up. I happened to be in the office with Tom Gray the next day. And sure enough, Jeff said, "I'd like to buy the picture. It's really a good picture." And Tom said, "I think we'll stick with New Line. Thanks very much." And then the next call is to the lawyer. And I go, Tom, wait. We should find out more. He goes, "No, he's done. I'm done." They'd been fighting the whole show because Steve was committed to the Turtles in a way that nobody else, well, Steve and Brian were.
Right.
In ways that, and they fought tooth and nail to get every frame and every picture and everything done. But as a result of that, I honestly don't know where that footage ended up.
That's
But there
the long
is,
answer.
by the way, an artist from London. His name is Osbert Parker. He's a wonderful animator. Any of you guys want to write that down? He's an amazing animator. He's won all sorts of British and U.S. awards for Emmys and all that stuff. The pictures that were drawn for that scene, for those scenes at the farmhouse, were all drawn by Osbert Parker.
Does he have them?
Who's picked by, they're in the trunk somewhere, he says.
Find the
but
trunk. We've got
he
a buyer.
says that Steve Barron picked him out of the art school where he was going at the time. I happen to be doing a project with Osbert now, and it just so happened we talked about Steve Barron, and it was extraordinary. These things keep bubbling up, but the found footage, not so much.
To your point, and you might know this, I've been asked since I've been here the last few days, does anybody know where the costumes are, the original turtle costumes? Are there any around?
There was one that was preserved. Mhm.
Okay, the original costumes, a lot of them got, like, the stunt ones, went off to, like, Planet Hollywood and stuff to be displayed.
Right.
But the original animatronic heads from the first 2 movies,
Right.
when they lost the rights to do the 3rd movie, they ordered all those heads destroyed.
Really?
Michelangelo was stolen off the set and seen on the set of Turtles 3 and returned to the Henson's Creature Shop 10 years later. Now that is the only existing head, and it hangs in the creature shop, totally deskinned.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, no, but
Wow.
Brian told me that story, yeah.
They're
And,
headless.
And yeah, it's a shame, but the new technology that could be applied by a Henson studio could be amazing.
Yeah, we get asked a lot to do a reboot of that first movie, but I don't think, well, whatever.
Maybe.
I don't. Someone asked me in San Diego, asked us if I was to write another one, what I would do with the Turtles. I said I'd have Michelangelo smoking a bone just for fun.
You're next.
I think that'd be cool. But Seth
For
Rogen
somebody
is
who doesn't smoke pot,
Seth Rogen's doing these movies, and
Yeah,
I can
it's true.
guarantee you there
Yeah.
will be a bone in one of these pictures.
It's true.
Go ahead.
It's
You great six-pack you got there, buddy. I used to have one of those. Now I got a keg, but that's okay.
For all three of you, who's your favorite of the Turtles?
Me?
All three of you.
All of them.
Yeah. I'm a Mikey fan.
Mine's actually not a turtle. My favorite character in the movies it's Kino, actually.
Oh.
Because as a kid, it was really great
yeah.
to see that, like, these heroes that you looked up to, live action heroes, so as a kid you kind of believed they were
Really?
real. As these heroes that you looked up to, they needed help from
God
kids.
bless.
So you could see in that sequel, you could see yourself as a kid, like, oh,
Really?
they need
Interesting.
our help.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know who's really, really, really a class act, cool guy, and he's got a new TV series, is James Sato.
Yeah.
He's got he did play Shredder.
He's
He is a
amazing.
class guy, man.
Yeah.
I can't.
and
Oh,
he's
real
a great
quick, I
actor.
got to do this. I love this. So here we did a reunion show on YouTube. You can find it, like in May of 2020.
Right.
We had the cast. You could see them. They were in costumes, and it was Judith and Elias came in at the end, and Kim and I, and Mr. Henson and Steve Barron, the D. And how many know who Kevin Clash is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I learned this. So Kevin comes on, and I find out he's Elmo on Sesame Street. and so when we were reading, we read favorite scenes, and we're reading just a rehearsal. He's doing Elmo's voice at first. He's doing the thing with your body thing. And we're kind of looking at each other like, what the hell? And all of a sudden he goes, and he's a really lovely man. He goes, sorry, fellas, I found him. And then he went into Master Splinter. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He's an amazing man, this guy.
Yeah. he
Too
is.
shy to do this. Like us. We're very shy.
Yeah.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
No,
first off, my name
next
is Mark.
question. Oh, I'm sorry.
So this is a bit of an involved question. So I do know a lot about the original origins for the Turtles from the original Ashcan comic that they did. And I noticed in the comic book adaptation, they also kept this in. Oroku Nagi was the older brother of the Shredder in the original material.
Mm-hmm.
He was slain by Hamato Yoshi. He ended up fleeing to New York with Tang Shen and Splinter.
Oy.
And this was actually where a bit of the feud actually came in, because the Turtles were originally trained to assassinate the Shredder. And I was curious, I'm assuming you guys were aware of that. Was there any kind of issue where you might have wanted to put that in, but then realized there was going to be a lot of backlash
No.
because of the idea of the Turtles being trained for vengeance as opposed to
No.
Shredder?
No, and no. There's a scene where they're in the forest and Splinter appears to them. And that's one of the themes where he tells them, you're here to defend, not start shit. You're there to just defend it. And now let me finish. And a message for the kids was, don't start the fight, but don't stand there and get your ass kicked. Get in the mix.
Right.
And when I did any action stuff, I started to say earlier, I watched Lucas's brilliance. I noticed in watching it because it's not like, well, it's 8 minutes in, we got to have a fight or something. He had a theme for every showdown in Star Wars. There was something in the writing that led up to that showdown. So I did that with the Turtles. It was, gee, we need to have a fight here. There was in this writing to lead up to the payoff being they're going to go at it, okay? But no, we didn't. No.
So you never actually even discussed Oroku Nagi being involved in the story at all?
No.
There were plenty of elements at work, I think that in film, if you have to keep it somewhat simple. You have to have a clear protagonist and a clear antagonist. And in this case, the evil was a pretty good force between Shredder and all of the Foot Clan and so forth. I think that.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
But
Thanks
you.
for the
Okay,
time.
Mark,
Good
thank you,
question.
buddy. Yes, my goodness gracious. Where are you from, my friend? Not you, the man behind you.
Me. I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah, hey, yo, my
Nothing to
brother.
brag
Yo.
about.
Hey.
So,
I love the sparkly beard. That's cool.
right? So
I'm tripping. Yeah.
An artist on the show floor did it for me. It was her idea. They're doing free face painting. She decided to put glitter in my beard, and I think it looks fantastic.
Okay.
That's
So-
working. It's working.
It works.
So my
Not a
name
lot
is
of
Lee.
guys can pull that off, but you're doing a
Oh,
damn
thank you
fine
so
job.
much.
Okay.
That means a lot to me coming from you because
Okay.
Turtles is my favorite movie. So my question was stolen. I had a question about Michelangelo's drawing, and I need to see it before I die. So, but I have another one. So, not quite as strong. I've always been curious about Donatello's hat. He wore it for a very short clip in this movie. He wore a straw hat. What's the story behind Donatello and the hat? I have to know.
I don't know. I wish I could tell you.
Yeah, me too.
Prop guys, I will tell you that there was a fair bit of improv amongst the characters in the actors inside the costumes and their puppeteers. But the costume department, which had limited, breadth in terms of what they were going to dress the turtles in, did take some risk, I guess. I suppose at the time. I can't tell you why. what the
Probably, yeah,
origin
like
of
he
it is,
said,
but-
probably improv. Real quick, Kim will tell you if you don't know. Was there 3 guys per costume working the costume, you think?
Well, we had stunt turtles. The
You had the
talking
stunt turtles and the actors, and the stunt turtles had lighter costumes.
right?
But the
with
turtle
none of the
guys-
servos.
There was, you say there was 3.
Well, there
working
were
the
there were
eyes and the mouths
the
and stuff.
puppeteers,
Yeah,
the
the
puppeteers who
yeah.
used radio control boxes with 2 joysticks in them, and in some cases, any of you guys know about the Waldos?
The who?
That Jim Henson created.
The Waldos.
Jim
yeah.
Henson created Waldos, which are remote-controlled gloves where each finger does a different thing.
Mm.
Now, he created those based on a novel that was written by a sci-fi writer by the name of Robert Heinlein back in 1952 or 3. Heinlein created Waldo Inc., and his character created these gloves that were allowed them to do things. And Henson, who was a student of everything, I think,
Wow.
had figured out how to use remote-controlled gloves. So we had the puppeteers using those, but also this backup puppeteer work. But the costumes had their issues, as you guys all know. In North Carolina, they were built at the Creature Shop in London in 60-degree weather. They performed in 100-degree weather and 100-degree humidity in North
And no
Carolina.
air conditioning in the stage, right?
None.
No. Did we answer your question?
Sort of.
That's what I thought.
A final
We
comment.
drifted.
Whoever is responsible for Donatello wearing that hat is an unsung hero.
Okay, I'll take credit then. Yeah.
Bobby, spots.
I don't know why
straw
I just
hats,
thought the
whatever
straw
it
man
is.
in Wizard of Oz and said, I'll put the hat on him.
Hi, my name's Josiah. I live about 5 minutes from Northampton, Massachusetts.
Oh, do you?
And
You know, I went there to write, and
Yeah,
I was single, and I thought, I'm going to have the greatest time with Smith College girls. And we went to dinner, Tom and I, and Tom says, look behind you, Herb. There's 2 girls standing up, tonguing each other, and he said, you're in a perfect place to write, to work here. You ain't going to get a date here, so.
He answered your question.
That's
True. What's your question?
no, I was curious. I heard there were rumors of, in the 90s, a 4th film possibly being made. I know maybe the success of the unsuccess of the 3rd
A
film.
4th film?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was. Gary and I, when we first optioned the property, we didn't pay a lot for the option. The purchase price of the film was ultimately, I think it was around $350,000. Usually the rights for a picture are formulaic. They're based on a 2 or 3% of the total budget of the movie, and the original budget was $8.5 million, so you can do the math. But it was around $350,000. When we finished, Gary and I went back to Kevin and Peter and asked them if we wanted to do 3 more, an option for 3 more pictures. Even though Golden Harvest was out of the game at that point. Tom Gray was beat up. Even though the 2nd and 3rd film were completely paid for by advance guarantees, it was more struggle at the box office because of their sequels. But with that, I think that there's no question that I don't know. I've lost track of what I was saying completely. I had a turtle moment.
That's okay.
Well, I
But
was
I'll tell you
curious-
something.
I'm
But
sorry.
Kim's
4th
on this.
movie.
I found out
Fourth
just
movie,
several years ago from Tom Gray. I didn't know this. This movie did not. The first movie did not play anywhere in Asia.
Yeah.
They thought we were making a mockery of their culture, and I was shocked that it did not. They wouldn't take the film. Japan. You think Japan?
I'm
would
sorry. They
jump all
wanted
over.
they wanted $5 million for the rights when we turned over for the, and that's so it
Who
was
wanted
three,
$5
Gold, Peter and Kevin
Oh.
for the option for the rights for the fourth, fifth, and sixth films.
Really?
Yeah, to do it. So I apologize. It was a
Okay.
so
We're
we
old.
went from a $350,000 purchase, and this was just for the option, what the rights would have been. But
Did they
you know,
option each one was optioned from them?
yeah, well, no. After we optioned the first project, it triggered 3.
Wow. Okay.
I was
I'm
mostly
learning
just curious
too.
if that fourth film had ever been any like plot
There was
speculation.
a
No,
fourth film.
it was just the animated version. That Tom Gray was the producer of that picture, though.
He got it came up for rights, and Tom grabbed
Right,
it.
yeah.
And we should have grabbed him, but he grabbed
Well, we tried, but anyway.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Next,
How you guys doing? Josh from Jersey.
Josh from Jersey, Tuesday night ABC. I love that. Okay.
As I was sitting there listening to you guys' story, I know like making movies can be a very arduous and cumbersome process. And I'm pretty sure you went through several drafts of the script. Was there any point that either of you looked at each other and said, like with the studio changing hands and power shifting and trying to get financing, did you guys just say like maybe we should quit?
Never.
No.
Never.
What was
No,
the
and
reason-
you
what
know,
was the reason for
relatively
that?
speaking, it took us about 1.5 years to get it set up and another year to get it made. That's lightning fast in this business. I made a movie. It took me almost 20 years to get it finally made from the time I bought the rights. So
You know, when you write for TV, when I wrote for Different Strokes and Jefferson these shows, and you sold a story and a script, it was going to get shot. It
Right.
wasn't like up here in the ether. I have scripts out my wazoo in Hollywood that people loving this and that, and they just sit there and languish. And there's movies that are shot that just don't get released. I mean, people don't know how hard it is to get a movie on the screen. Then you see a lot of the crap that's on the screen. You go, someone actually paid for that.
Yeah.
So
But
the question is, no, we never. I believed in it so much from the day he brought it to me, all my instincts. And when I go talk to kids at schools and I tell them, go with your instinct, and if you really believe in something, go for it. And I tell all of you, go for it, because everybody shot us down. We did. We were up against the dead ends everywhere we turned, getting this thing off the ground. So and I give us credit for not. We would no was not an answer for us, so
What's
we
that,
got it made.
Frank Capra said that creativity is just urging to get out. It's just a way of just out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. But you guys made it happen.
Yeah,
So
you
you
did.
ladies and gentlemen made it. Yes. Next question.
Afternoon, guys.
Hey,
I just want to say, as a New Yorker, born and raised in the Bronx, I always loved Ninja Turtles.
You could have fooled
because-
me. Go ahead. Yo.
I just want to say that, as a New Yorker, I love the Ninja Turtles, and just as I said earlier, anytime I saw a sewer, I thought they were real. I wanted to go down to the sewer.
Yeah. So you're the kid. Okay.
Yep.
Aha. I rest my case, Your Honor. That's it.
And that's another thing. It's just messed up at the fact that they had to hide their identity. They couldn't be public because I guess the people would fear them when they fought out in the streets, fighting crime. Unlike the Ghostbusters who were able to be public and fight crime, shooting up ghosts.
Right.
But my question is, I don't know if at the time, did it cross your minds? Did you ever speak to filmmaker Ivan Reitman?
No.
Did it cross your minds that would that ever been like a Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters collaboration film?
oh, that's interesting. I like the idea.
But
No, I've seen some.
Like the idea, but no.
I've seen some mashups of things, though. I don't know.
Yeah, they've
but
done a
no,
comic.
Well, somebody made a fan-made poster of it, of all of them together.
Oh,
I
yeah?
think maybe I've seen that. Yeah, I saw a mashup of Ghostbusters and Turtles at one point. But
Did you really?
All right,
I
so
haven't
listen.
seen that.
But I don't. I think it was a deep fake. kind of
Somebody
thing.
sent me last week. Was it you, Chris? Did you send me that thing that you said was animated and looked live? The scene,
that's for
the
the
clip.
new Seth Rogen movie.
Huh?
That's for the new the mural.
You
scene.
guys,
All right,
and you
so
guys
we
are
got,
ahead.
We got 2 minutes
No,
for
we
each
got
one of these
more.
questions.
We have till 15.
Your clock is long.
No,
What's wrong?
we have 11 minutes.
Yeah,
We're
so
fighting
and there's
again.
6 questions.
Go
out there.
ahead. You done?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Merry Christmas, dude.
Yeah, he's flashing us in the back. You can see we got 10 minutes left.
Are
Go
you
ahead.
flashing me or are you
What's up,
flipping me
dudes?
off? What is this?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yo, my brother
I'll
from
make this
another mother.
quick.
Whoa.
So
Okay.
you mentioned your affiliation with Golden Harvest and working with people who work with Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. Was there any time where you considered having the Ninja Turtles do kung fu instead of karate?
Oh, you're one of those. What are you, a
That was- that
communist,
was-
for
that was
Christ's sakes? Kung Fu, no.
Hey,
It was always their art form. It was that's I think that Peter and Kevin are rooted deep in the ninja cultures, if you will, that surround it. And it was a bit of a mashup, but yeah, no, not kung fu.
Interesting question, though. Kung Fu. I never thought of the Ninja Turtles doing Kung Fu.
Well,
They
there
didn't
was
speak the language.
There was the movie by the Shaw Brothers, Chinese Super Ninjas, where it
Yeah.
talks about how the 5 elements from China went to Japan and it was incorporated into the. Sorry, I can't.
All right, we
remember the style
copied
right
them.
now.
Okay, next question.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Henry from Queens.
Hey, Henry.
So my question is from the first movie. Was there ever a debate on set on what would actually happen if an actual pizza was delivered the way it was down the subway vent?
What was it? Wait.
Pizza
What?
would, like, get ruined.
If an actual pizza was delivered
At the
Yeah,
half address.
at the half address, okay.
Yeah. Filmmaking, when you make a film, you make it in parts. You actually take the film and you completely deconstruct it. So when that happens, you shoot scenes out of order and all of that. So what happened on the top with Michelangelo and Michelin Sisti, the Michelin played both of those characters. What happened up top was shot like way out of sequence between that and what we actually shot on the stage with him eating the pizza or slicing it up and all that. So no, unfortunately, prop pizza. I tried to eat some prop food last week and it made me throw up actually.
Yeah. It was Domino's, by the way. There was a debate.
Yeah.
They said it was, what's the other pizza? Anyway,
Pizza
there was
Hut.
Someone debate the other night, got pizza. I said, no, it was Domino's.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ruben, also from Queens. I have a question for Mr. Herbeck. As the writer, since you wrote the script for the first movie and didn't do 2 and 3, how would 2 and 3 have been different if you had written the sequels? What would you have done?
I don't know. It just would have been, it would have been different. I always wanted them to evolve a little bit more. I told Kim way back, I want to see him in a car and trying to drive and messing. When I was in London writing the movie, I drove a car over there and the steering wheel's on the wrong side of the car. And I drove down the street and I kept hearing tink, tink, tink. And I pull over and I've hit everybody's side mirror driving down the street. Because nothing looked, the geometry was wrong. Everybody's mirrors are, and I was taking this British girl to dinner and I told her, I says, I was driving and I hit every, she said, get in the car and let's get the hell out of here. We'll worry about that later. So I would have had him in a car. I don't know. This was a bone of contention that we weren't together on the next 2, but there's nothing I could do about it. It is what it is.
What you'll find is that the second film and the third film were made by committee. Yeah. The first film was Steve Barron and Bobby and Todd. That was it. That was the only creative process, and Brian Henson, of course. But with regard to back and forth, the second film in particular had toy people involved in making the script in studios and all that. It was totally different.
And always, you guys know, you've seen millions of movies or thousands or whatever, but it's very hard to do a sequel to a movie. I think Turtles did well with the Ooze, and then Godfather and Star Wars, obviously, but usually sequels.
Well, anymore, Marvel has changed that whole model. So
that's true.
Because there is no sequel; it's prequels and who knows what.
Prequels
But
and
thank you for
sequels
your
and
question.
equals. Okay, next
We're gonna make
question.
it. We're gonna
Thank
make
you, buddy. Look like Harpo Marx.
You're
This is
welcome.
very cool. No, Groucho. It looks like
Hi.
Groucho. Yeah.
I'm Joe from New Jersey.
What's your name?
Joe
Hi, Joe.
from New Jersey.
Joe from Jersey.
So my question specifically deals with adapting maybe the source material and what goes into that specifically. For instance, and for the Mirage fans, maybe they can help me out if I get this incorrect, but I do recall that Leo is the one who sort of revives himself at the house, at the farmhouse, rather than Raph. Am I correct? So I'm curious.
You mean in the
just
comic?
In the comic,
yeah.
yes. So I'm curious what just goes into maybe like you're adapting, an hour and a half film, why you take certain specific liberties and specifically why Raph filled that spot instead of Leo.
Do you know?
Who's the lead dog, I guess? I don't know. It's
No,
just,
I-
it's how it played out.
I think when you write screenplays, you do adapt the characters because you want them to have individual character arcs, and we tried to distinguish between Leo and Donnie and Mikey. And
Besides
Russ.
the color masks, we did.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but personalities.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And we try to be consistent. So that may have changed the tone of Leo overall and probably affected that particular scene, no doubt.
Yeah. What I wrote when I wrote it, someone asked me at one of these where I was in comparing, and I said Star Wars as far as fights. But before your time, he and I would know, the Marx Brothers, to me, because they were wisecrackers. And there's a great Four Musketeer movie with Michael York, and those guys would be in fights and joking with each other and doing stunts and stuff. Those were the two models for me to work on those characters. But very good question, because they had to be delineated, just besides the color of the mask. Like you said, each one had a different personality, as we all do, right? We're not all the same, no. No one's like me. Go ahead.
Hey,
Next
Mark,
question.
Mark, can you let the guy behind you?
Yeah, Mark, let the
ask
guy
that question?
behind you.
And then
because he
you
has
can
another
ask the last
question.
one. Thanks.
You can ask the last one. Hi, buddy.
Thank you, guys. It's very kind of you. So my question is...
What's your name?
Andreas from London.
Okay.
Andreas.
So in the comics, there's been lots of crossovers. And
It's also a fault line in California, but that's okay. Go ahead.
So in the comics, there's been lots of crossovers with, as people have said, Ghostbusters, Batman, I think Power Rangers now. If you were-
Universal Monsters, our action figures. I had to do a NECA
Just
plug.
throwing it in, just tossing that in the pile. Go ahead.
If you were to do a new Turtles film now, who would you want to do a crossover with or have cameo in it?
Have in it? Well, the guy behind you looks like Beetlejuice. Maybe I'd want Beetlejuice in there. I'd put Groucho and Beetlejuice in there.
Oh, there's the hat.
Just for fun.
There you go. There it is.
There it is. There's the hat. Okay. All right. I'm answering. So that's a really good question. Who would we put in there? The Turtles meet Beetlejuice. The Turtles meet. Huh?
Anybody have any suggestions in the room?
Who would you like to see the Turtles with? Daredevils. Okay, that's a fight. That's a fight. Okay, I see that.
What is it?
Yeah, that's Spider-Man. Yeah, that's Spider-Man. Yeah. Who? Gargoyles. Okay.
I don't know how many people know this, or if you have any Power Ranger fans in the room.
3 minutes. Okay.
But
All right, I got.
yes,
We got 3 minutes left.
Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers it's canon.
Thank you
since
very
the
much.
90s.
Yeah, it could be.
So.
Well, they
question.
came after us.
All right, Mark, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Hey,
Mark,
guys,
real quick.
Yep, Mark from Brooklyn, originally Saratoga Springs.
We got
now.
it. We got it.
I was wondering, this has never been answered in any medium. So
Go ahead.
I'm hoping
What's
you
the
guys have
question?
something for me. In the first and second films, where did you actually see the turtles' various layers actually being within the city? What part of it exactly?
Well, Soho. The water tanks on the building. When I wrote it, I would come here and stay with my buddy in Soho. The water tank, it's Soho.
So that, all right, so that's the first one. What about the second one, where they find
I
the subway?
don't know, Mark. I don't know. I'll write you a letter. The guy behind you, and then we got it in. He's killing me. You're killing me here.
It's not Beetlejuice.
Write me a letter.
Okay, hey, dude, I love you. Now, who are
Go
you?
ahead.
Who are you representing
It's
here?
not Beetlejuice.
Actually, I made up my own
Huh?
character.
Who?
I made up a character.
Oh, you made a character out.
Nice.
That's a clash. It looks like
Go ahead, ask your
Beetlejuice,
question. We're out of
Bozo,
time.
And,
Almost.
hockey player.
Hi, I'm Indy. I'm from, here, New York. And
Okay.
Sure, the NECA guy. Are you thinking of adapting any of the other incarnations of the of the Turtles?
Movie-wise, or just in general, all Turtles?
Because you did the comics and the '87 series. Are you doing any other versions?
No plans to do like the newer movies. Playmates handles that, but definitely
any of
with
the
the
other
mashups.
shows.
I'm trying to think of what I'm allowed to say. So we do the mashups now, which are really fun. and we want to expand on mashups. And
Okay, we got to wrap it up.
All right.
We got to
We do have to
listen.
wrap it up.
We have to
Yeah.
give
Away this-
best question. Who do you think?
that
better?
had to wrap it up. So
he was the only one to ask a toy question, so
I get
there
it.
you go.
yeah.
There you go. Let's wait.
Musical Mutagen tour. This was actually this tour in New York was supposed to happen today in 2020. We know how that happened. So,
By the way, we're working on a documentary, and I think we might do a tour. Would anybody be interested if we had a thing where we show the movie, then we come out and tell you about it, and we do an autograph session? We're gonna try that to see if people show up, huh? Yeah. Love coming.
But
here.
yeah, that's it.
I love
That
New
does it
York.
for our
Hey guys,
panel.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Cowabunga dudes and
If you
dudettes.
want to come down and join.